My sister spoiled the wedding. With her difficulty in becoming pregnant, my parents want her to have a baby with me. To give you some context, my 30-year-old sister Pam persuaded our parents and a few other family members not to attend our wedding. She felt it was inappropriate for me to marry her while she was getting divorced. She began telling lies and gossiping to drive people away from me because simply expressing the truth was insufficient to make them detest me. My partner and I recently announced on social media that I am currently in my second trimester of pregnancy. I am a 27-year-old woman. My parents and Pam found out about it this way, and after not speaking for more than 3 years, they attempted to reconcile with me. For what reason? Pam is unable to bear children since she is infertile. Despite her previous unsuccessful IVF attempts, she is determined to try again. Pam believes that surrogacy or adoption are not appropriate options for her right now. Because I am expecting a kid, my parents decided it would be best to reconcile with Pam so she could spend time with a child she does not have. They proposed that the child have 2 mothers to assist me further. My parents just want to act like a happy family now that Pam is unable to have children. Throughout the conversation, I could tell their civility was phony. I informed them I would not agree to the concept because it was just absurd to expect me to. It was preposterous that they assumed I'd consider making Pam the mother of my future child. I emphasized that they shouldn't have done it because I was pregnant and they wanted to give Pam a toy, but because they genuinely cared about me and regretted how they treated me. They disagreed with me, claiming that Pam was willing to help her future niece or nephew voluntarily, and that they were only assisting because they knew I would require assistance once the kid arrived. They told me I was being too rigorous and that everything was perfectly safe. I said that my husband and his family were already assisting me with anything I required because I was the mother. If they were able to avoid me in the past, they should continue to do so in the future. This is where I may have gone too far. Pam, I thought, could be unable to have children since she was rude and would not be a good mother. Following the call, my parents, various relatives, and Pam herself sent me numerous text messages. Everyone is asking me to apologize to them because they believe my words were unnecessary and cruel. They tell me not to injure people while they are already struggling. The difficulty is that I remember everything that transpired before my wedding quite well, and I am very angry with Pam for what she did. I struggle to feel bad about my words. Pam had been married for 2 years by the time I was planning my wedding. She and her ex-husband dated for 3 years before marrying, and she was always aware that he did not want to have children. When they started talking about what would happen next in their relationship after a year of dating, it was one of the first things she told our parents. Despite my presence in the room, they continued to speak as if I were not there. Another issue is that Pam and I never got along, even as children. She's always been our parents' favorite daughter. We used to argue a lot as kids, but eventually we just stopped talking to each other. So she was certain she wanted to have children in the future, despite telling our parents that her ex-boyfriend did not want to have children. They finally agreed to discuss it again after being married. She hoped that by then he would have a different opinion. She tried to urge him to have children, but he refused, so they began arguing frequently. She frequently appeared distressed at family gatherings and complained about how tough it was to be around him all the time. In my perspective, it was her fault for marrying a man who had made it apparent that he did not want children. She believed she could persuade him to change his mind, but she couldn't blame him since she couldn't do it herself. I didn't tell anyone since I thought it would just make everything worse. I attempted to persuade him for a few months before my parents informed me that Pam had returned to live with them permanently after an argument with her husband. They advised me that there were no solutions accessible at this time. My boyfriend and I had just begun saving money for our wedding at the time. After nearly 4 years together, we got engaged a few months ago. Despite the fact that we had been ready for a long time, we waited until we were both comfortable in our employment to marry. When my parents informed me that Pam and her husband were divorcing, they asked me to postpone my wedding indefinitely. They didn't want me to marry Pam while she was going through a divorce to prevent hurting her feelings. They noted that Pam was already struggling because she had to postpone her intentions to have a baby. They encouraged me not to proceed with my wedding in order to prevent hurting her, since she desperately wanted to have a baby. It was arguably the stupidest and most careless thing they had ever asked me to do. I told them I had to get married and would not postpone it for Pam. I was going to marry her whether she wanted it or not, because we weren't really close. I didn't care what she thought of my wedding. However, my parents were not pleased with the decision I made. They were upset because I was not prepared to place their daughter's feelings over my own wedding plans. They threatened to boycott the wedding unless I postponed it. I knew my parents liked Pam, but I never expected them to go to such lengths for her. This made me quite sad and upset. However, I consented and instructed them to do anything they wanted. Pam felt unhappy, even though everything should have been over. She didn't approve of my wedding, so she made sure the rest of the family didn't go either. At first, she tried to persuade people that it was unpleasant of me to marry while she was going through a difficult period. Although most people expressed sympathy for her, they did not explicitly state that they would not attend my wedding. She resolved to do better after realizing this. She began telling lies about me because the truth didn't interest her. Pam claimed I was persuading her husband to leave her because I was jealous of her and didn't want her to have a child before me. I had never been pals with her partner, so the accusations were ridiculous. If he and I had been good friends, I doubt Pam would have married him. People began to trust her, though no one knew why. She claimed I was disturbing her by convincing her husband that he would be happy without her and influencing him to leave her. Pam claims I persuaded him not to have children, feeling it was the best choice for our generation. Everything was a lie. I believe she lied so successfully that people came to believe her, even though I didn't spend much time with my brother-in-law when he was married to Pam. Several folks declined my wedding invitations. Some of my concerned cousins and other family members notified me about Pam's remarks, so I was already aware of the reason. I wasn't surprised when no one gave me a specific reason for saying no. Only a few family members from both sides attended my wedding. Everyone else was a friend or colleague. A small number of individuals showed up on the bride's side. Before the wedding, I remember being quite angry about everything. Many people had already formed their opinions, and some had stopped listening to me, but I still believed I could speak to them openly and honestly. I did not want to, since it would have been my narrative vs hers. Fortunately, my partner, friends, and family were present to support me on my wedding day. I had no idea many of my family members were missing because they were so concerned with my enjoyment. I have yet to forgive Pam for what she did because I liked my wedding day. She was quite angry and cruel in her acts. She made sure I was unhappy just because she didn't get what she wanted, which was normal for her. She had been similar to Wei since she was a child, but most individuals lose those habits, especially by their late 20s. Unfortunately, I can't say the same of her. Following that incident, I stopped talking to her and my parents, and my rage against them got even stronger. I saw Pam's ex-husband for the first time in roughly a year after their divorce. One day, my husband and I noticed him eating lunch with some of his co-workers. We were astonished when he approached us to say hello, which made things awkward. He approached our table, congratulated us luck for our wedding, and apologized for being unable to attend. He said that it was due to my sister's circumstances. We were nice since he spoke lightly. My husband even joked that he might have attended instead of Pam because she did not show up. Pam's ex-husband appeared bewildered. At that point, we began discussing the events leading up to the wedding. He claimed that Pam had postponed the mediation appointments and divorce because she was too busy planning my wedding. When her former spouse discovered she hadn't even attended, he was perplexed. He was shocked by her sudden interest in my wedding. However, he chose not to ask her about it since he did not want to imply that she was postponing the divorce because she was afraid. He handled things quietly. We discussed what happened after he told us about his experiences. He said that Pam did not attend the wedding, said false things about me, and accused me of attempting to end her marriage. After being astonished by Pam's actions, he revealed the real cause for their breakup. It was a lot greater issue than simply disagreeing on having children. After several discussions about having children, her former husband began to listen to her point of view and was on the verge of altering his mind. She mentioned something significant that altered everything on the day he decided to discuss it with her. She appeared overjoyed when he told her he was finally ready to explore becoming a parent. She then joked that he'd have to consent to it sooner or later, even if he wasn't ready. When pushed to clarify, she acknowledged that she had stopped taking her birth control pills without notifying him. She could have become pregnant if they had continued as before, expecting him to handle the matter. He couldn't accept this warped plan. She led us to believe that their conflicts were exclusively over having children, but their most recent dispute was over her treachery. Pam tried to make things appear less serious, but her actions remained significant. Essentially, she was attempting to trick him into getting her pregnant so that he would have to accept the pregnancy, whatever. After speaking with her ex-husband, my husband and I gained a clearer understanding of why she had acted suspiciously around our wedding. She accepted responsibility for her divorce. She could have kept it a secret and avoided all of this hardship, even if she had opted to discontinue her birth control, which was a risky decision. She may have had a baby with her partner, but she messed up for herself before taking it out on me. I became enraged against her after learning all of this. I could have told my parents and other family members the truth, but I decided not to. By that point, I had already cut ties with people who did not attend my wedding, and I honestly wanted to go on with my life. I chose to remain silent and keep going. I don't regret what I said since I despise her. I believe it's a good thing she hasn't had children since I don't think she'd be a decent mother given her disposition. It bothers me that she and my parents just reached out to me because I am pregnant and they want to appear joyful with my baby on the way. That won't happen. I agree with my in-laws and hubby that my child does not need to have two mothers. The only reason I have any reservations is because of how others, particularly ones I get along with, reacted to my comment. Am I incorrect in assuming that my sister may not be good at being a mother, which is why she hasn't been able to conceive? When asked, Pam stated that she is not remarried and is not currently dating anyone. Even while I don't know much about her personal life, I've heard from individuals close to her that she is unmarried and her primary goal right now is to create a family. You can try to figure out why she refuses to adopt a child or utilize a surrogate. She seems to believe that a child does not feel like your own unless you have given birth to them. She's been attempting for over 3 years. This includes trying to conceive with her partner and using donors for IVF after the divorce. Until now, nothing has worked for her. Many people may examine other possibilities at this stage, but she is not interested, and that is her decision. It appears unusual that my parents and she only attempted to make amends after I informed them I was pregnant. The comment about two mothers lingered in my mind. Also, you'll notice that they clearly stated that this baby would be linked to her via blood. Simply said, my child is related to her by blood because she is my biological sister. However, discussing it while attempting to set things right is unusual, and their actions appeared weird, almost like someone who would take a baby. I'm concerned that if I forgive her and let her see my child, she'll start acting like my mother. I can't let that happen. Some of you have questioned why. I haven't explained myself to the rest of the family or discussed the true reason for her divorce. To be honest, I don't believe it's worth it. I understood who my true friends and supports were after the wedding. Everything that transpired affected me deeply, and despite my desire to reveal the truth, I chose not to. I wanted to be alone myself. Some of my family, with whom I have an excellent connection, have commented that I was callous when I told Pam she couldn't have children. Even if they don't ask me to apologize, they believe my reaction was too harsh. These people have always backed me, which is why I am concerned. If they thought I was overly strict, I should be concerned. Update number 1. I appreciate all of the comments on my post. I appreciate your support, even if it appears that the majority of you believe I am not at blame. I will continue to ignore Pam and my parents, and I have decided not to apologize to them. They are plainly unhappy about this. They continue to depict themselves as the victim on social media and in person, as well as speak negatively about me in front of our family members. I don't speak with those folks anymore, therefore it doesn't concern me. What might go wrong? That they will only make me feel more alone. I chose to talk to my family members that support me yet disagree with what I stated, and we discussed it. Almost everyone in the family is aware of what happened and what I said, and Pam and my parents have made a huge issue out of it. I contacted folks who genuinely care about me since I try to avoid connecting with those I disagree with. I explained that I said those words in the heat of the moment. But Pam's deliberate attempt to make herself the center of attention during my wedding was even more inappropriate. Pam has been cruel and disrespectful to me for a long time, and I refuse to apologize for something that may be true. My comment will have no effect on her, unlike when she spread stories about me. My family has decided not to attend my wedding due to her statements. It's different. Because my opinion won't stop her from being pregnant. The folks who previously supported me are still there for me, and my family appears to understand. I'm happy if they choose not to address it further. I really want to have a happy and healthy pregnancy. I'm hoping the problem between Pam and my parents is addressed soon. I don't want this to linger on because I may have to say things they won't like hearing. This is not something I want to deal with, especially since I am pregnant. Update number 2. For the past 2 weeks, my parents have been acting like victims, informing the entire family about what I said during our last phone call. They've asked others to avoid me, stop talking to me, and even cease communicating with family members who get along with me. They essentially want everyone in the family to ignore me. My parents' plan did not succeed, but I was able to work things out with the people I love. They plainly did not appreciate it, so they left bad remarks about me on social media. I know the posts are about me, even if I'm not stated specifically. They've been discussing about a family member who has always wanted to harm Pam and is envious of her. They claim I insulted her for being unable to have children. I knew everything was phony, so I didn't mind at first. It particularly bothered me when they recently claimed that I was the reason Pam's marriage collapsed. I chose to respond since they were repeating the lies they told me before my wedding. I contacted my ex-husband's brother. Although we don't talk very often, we still greet one another on major events like holidays and birthdays. I explained everything to him and asked whether it was good to disclose the truth in front of others. I followed his instructions. The problem has escalated since I wrote about Pam's actions and the true cause of their divorce. Even though I haven't spoken to anyone in person, my family has contacted me by phone, text, and email to confirm the accuracy of the material, urge that I erase the post, and even accuse me of lying about Pam again. I have not responded to any of them. My parents and Pam have been quite silent, indicating that they don't have much to say in their defense. They will certainly find words. Even after everything that has transpired, it is unfortunate that no one in the family has apologized to me. But that's okay since I expected this to happen. I believe I succeeded in unveiling Pam's true self, which was my primary purpose. I'll simply chill and see what happens next. Update number 3. Pam and my parents contacted me a few days after I sent my previous mail, claiming they were ready to apologize, but only if I agree to erase my post. The rest of my family has not apologized to me, but it appears that they have spoken with my parents and Pam to complain about what they did. They informed my parents that it was not appropriate to cast me in a negative light since Pam was the one responsible for her divorce. My connection with my parents has deteriorated significantly as a result of their years of deception. It's astonishing how fast those family members who disliked me turned against Pam. As I have stated, I do not think highly of individuals who blame me for Pam's marital issues. They are now equally keen to believe that she was culpable from the start. They still refuse to apologize, and most of them have ceased contacting me. Nobody is asking me to erase the post, and no one cares whether I was telling the truth. I told Pam and my folks that I'd delete the post whenever I wanted. I no longer care about their apologies. I responded to their email and blocked them. They have not tried to contact me since then. This morning I chose to delete the post. I did it not for them, but because I don't want my social media feed to be cluttered with updates about unimportant individuals. Getting back at someone is not helpful, and as I previously stated, I want a pleasant and healthy pregnancy experience. Also, I believe that is sufficient punishment for Pam and my parents, given who they are. My loved ones genuinely care about me, and my spouse and I are pleased. I just need that. It doesn't matter what my sister and parents are doing now. I hope they know I don't want to talk to them anymore and keep away from me now that everything has transpired. That was all I wanted to say. Given everything that has happened, I doubt they will contact us anytime soon. I appreciate everyone who has encouraged me, responded to my messages, and offered advice. This means a lot to me. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already signed up, please do so and click the bell button to receive notifications about more startling true stories in your area.